Greetings and salutations, friends and neighbors. This is not Mail Call Monday because I didn't get this stuff mailed to me. This is stuff I bought on Facebook Marketplace. So this is Marketplace Monday. I picked up not one, not two, not three, but 7 fishing reels and 7 fishing poles. I'm going to show you the reels real quick because they're right here in front of me. We're going to tilt the camera a little bit. Alright, this is one that we're actually going to work on today. This is a Zebco Adventure. Using the catalog, I date this to the year 2000. The year 2000! Anyway, we got a Shakespeare. Off to the side, we have a Zebco 101, officially the very first Zebco 101 I've ever owned. We have one Zebco 404. We have 2 Zebco 404. We have one Zebco Z20 and 2 Zebco Z20. That is a grand total of 7 reels. But, like I said, the Adventure is the one that has my interest currently. Just like the 101, it is the very first Zebco Adventure reel I've ever owned. So, we need some junk. We're going to clean it, which means I need something to clean it with. I use this product placement. We're going to do a real quick flawless product placement. This stuff right here I got a while back, and I used it on the last reel that I did on camera for you, and it worked really well, so we're going to use it again today. And we're just going to foam the crap out of it, like that. And we're going to, ooh, apple-y. This one must be apple scented. Fresh scent. Apparently the fresh scent smells like apple. We're going to set that off to the side. And while that's off to the side, we're going to take a look at the other junk that we're going to need. We're going to need one of these. I believe that's already got the right size on it. And it does. We're going to need some lubrication. Super lube will do. And we're going to need some line to put on it when I'm done. Which will be this stuff. Alright. And we will need what is at least a semi-clean rag for cleaning off the junk. And I have the space heater on because it's freaking cold out here. It's no longer single digits in my neck of the woods. I believe it's 25 right now, which is still kind of cold for a garage. But we're going to clean the outside first. Now, just like every other reel I do for you guys, we're going to put the pieces on the table in the exact order in which I take them off. And I'm hoping, with the way I've got the camera set, you guys can actually see that part of the process. This is a little nicer looking down at the table and not looking at my ugly face, isn't it? Alright. Well, already that's an improvement. Now, I saw this post on the Facebook market for these 7 reels and 7 rods, $5 each. So I got all of it for $35, which ends up being $2.50 per item. And the reels, for the most part, seem to be, you know, lack of cleaning, A-okay. Alright, it's clean. Like I said, I've never owned one of these. We're cracking it together. Let me get that close as soon as I figure out where... There's the camera. Camera's on this end. We're going to crack it. Ready? Oh, yeah. 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 Okay. That's actually not bad in there. Some of that. Hey, don't look directly at that when you do that. Holy crap. I just got my glasses. I've got my glasses all covered with that stuff. thing I was wearing glasses though. That could have got me in the eyeball. I don't imagine it'd feel good. Okay. So the cap is off. The cap is clean, and the cap is the first thing I'm going to put on that. Nope, it's going to be off camera. Okay, trust me that I put it right there. That'll be the first item that I lay on the table. Okay, that's kind of gross. This looks like it comes apart just like any other Zebco. You grasp the crank and you turn it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Ooh, there it goes. Feels like that might be kind of gross inside. It's not coming off. It's turning, but it ain't coming off. Why aren't you coming off? It drags all the way tight. Sometimes on these, if the drag isn't all the way tight and you do this, the cap doesn't turn. Interesting. Okay. Well, alright. That is shaped like a socket, bigger than that. Okay, not that big. A half-inch maybe? Is that a half-inch perhaps? No, it's not 7/16. Do I got a half handy? Do I have a half handy? That's a millimetric. So it's either a half or a 12 millimeter, and I don't seem to have either. There's a 14. Hey. Hey, presto. Bear with me, it's the first one of these I've ever taken apart. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Let's see what we get. Okay. So it's one that you gotta take the socket off of instead of twisting the whole real cap. Alright, so there we go. I'm going to set this exactly next to the lid that I've already taken off. Okay. It was actually well lubricated at one point. Still has some of the old lube floating around in there. We're going to clean that out real quick. And we're going to clean some of the outside. Alright, how'd we do? Okay, well, it's still kind of gross. And I have a washer floating around in here that I don't know what it's to. Let's pop the washer out. Let's pop the washer out. Okay, the washer's out. I have no idea. We're going to set that off to the side. Alright. I'll tell you what. We're gonna zap this with the, and we're gonna let it sit because it's gross. Okay. So that brings us to the actual spool. I figured at this point it would just pop out. But it's making a liar out of me. I see where that washer goes. It goes right there. That old line looks disgusting. I don't see anything that resembles a C-clamp. Oh, it's one of these. Alright. That right there. Yeah, that right there where my finger is. You gotta turn it so that it goes down here to the bottom and it's open more down there. So let me do that. So like this, and then it should pull out from here. Should pull out from there. Should pull out from there. Okay, the spool is out. I am honestly not particularly fond of that design. I can tell you why that design is done. That notorious C-clamp that I tell you guys about losing a lot of over the years. That's why they do that. If you do that design, you don't need a C-clamp. Therefore, you have less people that service reels like me complaining about losing C-clamps. Alright. Sweet. Now, the only reason I take out this particular spool is to get the line off of it. So I need to find the end of the line, which looks to be right there, but it's kind of embedded and crusty in there. So I'm going to see if I can't pull it out. Like that. Alright, and then we're going to just basically pull the line off and throw it away. Okay. We're going to pull the line out and throw it away. See that memory? That's what I call that. I don't know if that's the technical word for it, but when you take line off of a spool and it's still in the shape of the spool. I don't know what else to call it. If it's called something else, let me know. Woo! Man, I hope I'm talking loud enough to be heard over this space heater, because I can't turn it off. It is freezing cold out here. Alright, this is the boring part. I'm going to basically pause through this. Oh, I think it's recording still. Alrighty, so I've gotten all of the old line off the spool. I'm getting the last of the old nasty lube out from underneath here. Sweet, sweet, sweet. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. Alright, so again, I've got my parts laid out in the order in which I've taken them off. Since I have the bottom of the reel body open, I'm going to take a look at it. Well, you know, it ain't bad. That's actually pretty clean in there. Alright, well, the presence of lube, even though it is old lube, and the fact that the inside of the reel cap was pretty clean, it tells me that whoever owned this previous actually took good care of it, which makes me happy. And that's awesome. So that's the second time my phone has popped up a warning telling me that I've exceeded the recording file size, and then it stops recording and I gotta start over. So hopefully I have fixed that. But now that I've got this, you know, pretty much apart, I haven't cleaned it yet, but this right here is how the anti-reverse on this works. Now watch it. You see it clicking? Now when I go the other way, nothing. Basically there's a tooth on the end of that. See if I can get that close. Yeah, you can see the teeth. If I see, there's teeth, and they're shaped to go one way, so that when you go the other way, it catches. Brilliant, it really is. Alright, so anyway, we're going to take out the center post. Again, I'm sure it has a technical name, but I don't care. The center post is good enough. It's being stubborn. There it goes. Okay, so the center post is out. We're going to clean it and lube it, basically. That's sitting off to the side. I really don't like taking apart this mechanism, but I'm going to do it to show you how. Need to switch out my bits. Okay. That is your usual 5/16. Now you'll see why I don't like to take these apart when I get that far. Okay, so there's our nut. It goes to the right. Our crank will have an itty-bitty plastic washer that it just fell off, which is that thing. And then the crank, and then this. Now, you'll see this called different things. I've always called it a spider drag. I think technically it's a star drag, but it only comes off one way. Okay. And that spring right there, that's why I don't like taking these apart. If you happen to lose that or warp it in any way, you're not getting it back together. Okay. It could do with a drop of lube. There's a washer that holds the spring in place, and then this whole mechanism should just pop right out. Just like that. Yeah, don't lose it. Okay, that piece stays together. It only fits one way. Set it off to the side. Okay, this is our anti-reverse that I was showing you before. Sometimes they don't like to come out. So there's our anti-reverse. And then in the anti-reverse is a little teeny tiny flat washer right there. And then this is the actual anti-reverse mechanism right here. Now it's attached. You can't take it off. If it comes off, you did it wrong. I don't know how else to explain it. There's a little pin. Let me see if I can get it where you can see the pin. There's a little pin. Oh, that goes into the plastic there, and I knocked it off. I knocked it off. Okay. Don't panic. I'm a professional idiot. It's not supposed to come off. There we go. And that pin holds it in place right there. Okay. I am wrong about this reel. It apparently does come off of this one. I have other reels that it doesn't come off on unless you break it. So, crisis averted. This is, again, the first time I've ever opened one of these. Okay. It's honestly pretty clean. I think other than, you know, a little bit of wipe down and putting it back together, we're pretty well done. Now that I have everything off, you can see this. This is what the spool sits in. You put it in to where those knobs are on the big side first. So that side and this side, and then you turn it to hold it into place. Again, it's one of those things that they did to avoid the C-clamp that a lot of people don't like. I like that design even less than I like the C-clamp, if I'm being honest with you. I'm gonna just basically wipe down the parts real quick with this rag in my hand and the junk that I've been using. I won't bore you with that, so I'm going to just pause it real quick and do that, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, I've got everything wiped off to a satisfactory level, so we're going to start reassembly. And again, I've laid out the parts here, and hey, you can actually see these. I've laid out the parts here in front of me in the order in which I took them off, almost like I planned that. So the first thing that goes on is the last thing that I took off, which is this doodad, which goes into that little tiny hole. Can I get it to where you can see it? Like that. And it sits like that. Now, technically underneath that was this itty bitty washer, which is on. And then this. Now that, with the fuzz on it, is part of that anti-reverse. There we go, I think I got it. Yeah, there we go. And that you have to line up into that hole, and then it'll sit inside the teeth of this thing. Inside of your anti-reverse, which it does. That's perfect. That is perfect. Okay. And then this is next. Okay. There we go. That's all in. Sweet. Okay, and then on this side, you'll see that this down here has a certain shape. Let me get that where you guys can see that. So that this sits over top of it, like that. And then our spring. Now, like I said, the spring is a pain in the ass, and I hate the spring, but it's a necessary evil. Now that spring goes inside of here, but there was a touch of lube on this before I took it apart and cleaned it. So we're going to put a touch of lube right back on it. You know what? I bet there's supposed to be lube in here too. Let me, and you don't want a bunch. Just enough. Keep stuff moving. Back in the hole. Okay, and then you go there, and then you go there. All part of the plan, I promise. I meant to do that, so that you guys can see. Okay, so there's not a lot, but a little bit of lube on that. Which in this case, I would believe is just pretty much corrosion resistance. And then the drag mechanism goes back on. Now that spring is actually how the drag works on this. The tighter you get, the more pressure you put on that spring. This pushes more this way, and it eventually gets to the point where it will no longer turn backwards once that center spline is in. Okay. So the drag mechanism is back on. I can let go of this. It's held in place by the drag now. And then one more time we're going to check on the anti-reverse. It's working fine. Corona! Okay, crank was next. Little plastic ring. And then our little nut. We all go a little nuts sometimes. And then we tighten that back on. Alright. That mechanism is back together and working fine. Now in here, we want some lube. So we're going to go back to the old lube machine here. Big old booger of lube here, because you want to get it into these teeth or splines or whatever these are called on a gear. Those things, you really want to get it good. So we're gonna roll around a lot, push it in everywhere. Beautiful. This, once I've really got to stop using terry cloth for this because of all the lint and fuzz. Once we get off all the lint and fuzz, this goes right in there. And then we're going to wiggle it till it goes all the way in. We're going to wiggle it. We're going to loosen the drag a little bit. And then wiggle it. There we go. See, like I said, the spring and the drag pushes everything this way. And if you try to put that together with the drag all the way engaged like I did, it's difficult to get it into the hole. And there's that's what she said joke in there, but that is just beneath me at this point. Okay, so our next gizmo that goes in is this. Well, like I said, see if I can show you. I think I can show you. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there's those two little holes. You want to push your reel in, and then you're going to turn it to lock it in place. So if I turn it, that reel is now locked in place. And sounding beautiful. I'm getting a runny nose. Okay. Little washer. The lube on my hand ought to be enough. That goes there. We want to put a little tiny bit of lube right here on this spring mechanism. This is what pops out your gizmo that catches your line. That's an important piece. You want to protect it. Don't need a lot of lube. Just enough to keep it from getting corroded, basically. Now, when I was cleaning this, I noticed some funk around the reel cap here. And it doesn't come off, so I'm going to leave it. Let me turn this where you guys can see what I'm talking about. Right there, you see it? I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed. I took a brush to it, and it just don't come off. Shouldn't hurt anything. It's not sand. But anyway, that's done. That's done. Now, when you do this, you don't push up on the doodad down here, but you put your thumb on the end of it there. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just putting my finger there, basically to keep this standing up. Now, it's a D. See, it's flat on that one side, and it only goes in one way. So easy, even I can do it. Okay, it's making a liar out of me. Alright. Oh, get in the hole. Get in the hole. Interesting. Let's try that. Remember when I took it apart and I said that the washer was inside? As I'm looking at it, it looks like that the washer goes there, and then the reel cap goes on. Let's see if my theory pans out. Okay, my theory pans out. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But anyway, you saw it here first, kids. I'm going to start that. Swap out our sizes. We're going to screw that back down. Ba-doop. Now you don't want to, go crazy on it. You want it snug. But it is a thin metal, so if you torque it down, stand a chance of warping your cap. And we don't want to do that. That should be good enough. Let's test it. Okay, it worked. Alright, so pushing the button, it raises up. Beautiful, just like it should. And then when I crank it, it clicks and the little doodad didn't pop out very far. Oh, there it goes. Let's do that again. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Remember what I told you about not tightening up that too far because you might warp your cap? That may have been what I just did. That may have been what I just did. Alright. Let's try it again. That's exactly what I did. Remember what I said, don't torque it down too far. Let me get that where you guys can hear it. Hear how much smoother that is? No more grindy noises. Alright, so we done good. We did good. Alright, so now that we have everything pretty much reassembled, oh no, the button fell out. Don't worry about it, it goes right back in. Unless you break your button. Then you're kind of SOL. Your button only goes in one way, don't force it. If you gotta force it, it's wrong. And you will break it. Alright. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that's back in where it needs to be. The lid we're going to put on after I run line through it. I'm going to pause real quick and set up my my line so I can fill it. Okay, my spool of line is in my magical line dispensing box. We're going to tie a loop knot. Just like that. Don't trim the excess like that, it's bad for your teeth. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the line through its own loop, like that, which makes another loop. Imagine that. So now we've got a loop like this. Now we want to hook this around the reel in a way that it will catch. And what I mean by catch is we want this line to pull this direction. Okay? So what we're going to do and then basically you're going to pull it tight. Now to make sure it catches, pull it tight and then go in the direction that the line goes when you reel, and it should get shorter. Here, I'll show you. As I go this way, it gets shorter because it's wrapping around. I did it right. So now it's time to reel like crazy. Alright. Reel up all the slack that I got laying here on the table till I get to the box. And we are at the box. And now we're putting line on it. This part might take a while. Now something that I noticed about this reel right away, it doesn't have the little windows like the 202 does, or the 404, where you can look inside without taking the cap off, see how much line you got. So at some point I'm going to have to stop and take the cap off and take a look. That reel's pretty quiet. Let me do this by the camera. That's pretty quiet. I did good. I did good. I think I'll just fast forward through this so it'll look like it's in turbo. Okay, just that quick, it's full and ready to go. We're gonna nip that off, tie something to it so we don't accidentally reel it in inside. Let's try it again. My fingers are greasy. Okay. Now, part of this haul was 7 fishing rods, which are right here, and one, and only one, was a Zebco. This is a Zebco slingshot rod. Let's try that again. A Zebco slingshot. It's not exactly the right kind of rod for this, but I don't think it'll matter. It's, you know, it's a Zebco. It'll be just fine. And we're going to put that on like that, and like that. Just like that. when I take it out to use it the first time, I'll of course bring you guys along. Hopefully we'll catch something with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I like using antique fishing equipment. You guys know that. But that's it for this one. I will, of course, do others, and I will record those and take you along with the journey. That was the Zebco Adventure from the year 2000, as near as I can tell. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.